Hey guys, it's Mr. Creighton, and today we are finally going to focus on drawing. So I'm pretty excited for us to really get this rolling. And the key thing when it comes to drawing is whether you realize it or not, drawing is a skill. So it's skill based, meaning you can learn tips and techniques to help you get better. So you might see something like this and think, well, you know what, I can't draw a scoop like that, but you really can. And so, really, what it comes down to is the practice you put in and the skills that you improve through the techniques that you learned. And we can all do that. So, really, the key is when you draw, first, we need to observe what we're drawing. So today we're going to start out by drawing a simple light bulb just to get us used to seeing shapes. So the idea here, if you look at this light bulb, yes, it has this outline around it. But in order for us to draw, we want to break it down into a simple shape that we can draw. So if you look here, there is a large curve up top. So there's a large circle up top. There's also a smaller oval below. So we would draw a simple circle and a simple oval first. And when we do that, we want to draw the largest shape or the outside shapes first. So that gives us something to build around. And once we draw either the outside shape or the largest shape, we work our way to all the inside details. So that's going to be our orders and steps. So when we draw, we got to do a couple things. One, the first thing we must do is we must observe. So you got to observe the shape. Let me guys write this down with me. We have to observe the shape because we got to know what we're looking at. Then you draw the outside shape. So the outside shape or the largest one. So the outside shape or the largest, it just depends. Because sometimes there isn't one perfect outside shape, so you have to draw the largest one you see. And then we want to move on to the inside parts. So that's the details. So we always follow those steps. That's like the easiest way to create a successful drawing. Observe it, so you need to look at what you're doing, draw the outside or larger shape, and then we work our way to the inside part. So when we draw this light bulb, sometimes curves are hard to draw. So we're just going to do a little warm up to kind of get us used to this. So the key, when you draw a circle, you want to go around until you get it round. So I'm going to draw a little baby circle. So just take your pencil, you'll do this too. Draw a little small circle. Go around until you get it round. Don't erase. Just draw around. Let's do this again. We're going to go around until we get it round. All right? So look at me. I'm actually going around. I went around that circle like 5 times or more just to get it round. So same thing here. I'm going to go around. And once you find the round shape that you need, press hard so you can see it. So if you look at the screen here, that outside shape was the one that was the most round. So I'm going to try this again. Make this a little bit larger. Go around until I get it round. Here's the issue. When you draw a big curve, so a curve that's this large, it is sometimes hard to get that shape round without having issues. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw this big curve. You can see it in my sketch inside of a square. That square is going to help us keep both sides even. It's going to help us keep the top and the bottom even as well, so that way this object can be centered. And then we'll do the same thing here for our oval. So we are going to build this inside of a rectangle, and we'll build this inside of a square. So let's get that started here. So I'm gonna have you guys draw. So let's leave this here so you can see our object. Let's draw a square. And try to keep that square as even as you can. This light bulb is symmetrical, meaning the left and right side are fairly even. You've heard me say that word a lot lately. So in order for us to keep this fairly even, let's draw a symmetrical guideline. So let's draw a guideline in the middle of this shape, just to help keep it fairly straight. And also you can draw another guideline across. So guides will help you as you draw to keep things in place. And that's going to be huge as we continue to draw. So now what you can do is you can just kind of go around this section and connect our areas until you round it off. I'm actually going to go outside of the shape a little bit just to make this a little bit rounder. So if you need to go outside your shape a little bit just because you kind of drew a lopsided rectangle, or it's not rectangle, square, that's really fine. Either way, you're going to go around until you get the shape round. I'm not going to erase anything. I don't want you to erase anything quite yet either. I want you to see the lines you're using to build this. So now what we'll do is, again, observe. So we always want to observe and then draw the outside parts. If I observe this large curve is taller in height than this small oval. So when I draw this rectangle below, just to kind of keep this in place, this should be a smaller shape, and as you draw it, the nice thing about having the center guideline is you can keep both sides even. And inside of that, I'm going to draw a oval. So for the most part, drawings are typically built inside of very, very simple shapes. And the reason why we do that is just to keep things simple. And then you can adjust things and build them up to make them a little more advanced, detailed, and complicated. So now all we'll do is just take your oval and your circle and you're going to connect them. So if you look at the light bulb, it gradually gets larger on the right and on the left. So just take your pencil and then connect it to the left, connect it to the right. And again, I'm not going to erase any guidelines here. I want you to see the lines I'm using to draw this thing. So now the outside shape is set. So we've drawn the outside shapes, and now we work our way to the inside shape. So again, it is always best to start with the outside parts. It gives you something to compare your shapes to. It gives you something to build off of. So now let's work our way to the inside. What you will see is you're going to see this the ridge section. You're also going to see some reflected light and a little bit of darkness on this light bulb. So let's get moving and set those sections up. The key here, though, is when we draw this ridge, it's got a curve. So we draw this section. So we're going to draw this big section first before we draw the individual ridges, because we always work our way from outside to inside and biggest to small. So now what I'll do is I'll go to the next biggest section, which is this bottom piece. There's a black piece here at the bottom of the light bulb. And then a small little ridge. And what I'm going to do is I'll fill this the black part in. And then now let's move to the ridges. So basically, if you need to, you can make a left on the mark and on the right so you have a guide to connect it. That will work. So the key is when it comes to drawing, guides won't hurt you. They'll always help you. So I'm just going to draw this across, though. But if you have trouble keeping your ridges the same or similar on the left and the right, draw a guide to connect. So as we learn to draw more and more, we're going to be using more and more guides to keep things in place. And that's going to be important as we continue this. So what we'll do next is we set up the bottom part. Looks kind of like a honeycomb. These curve around. So the actual ridges of the light bulb curve around. So you can draw like a little curve on the side. And then if you look super, super close, we're going to add another inside detail. What's happening on the light bulb is if you look at these ridges, they're metallic. And if you look at the left and right side, it gets pretty dark. But the middle is a lot lighter. So we're actually going to add a little bit of that inside detail as well. So near The bottom of each ridge, add a little bit of shading, for a lack of better terms. So we're not really going to add like shading, but just fill these in dark. So shading meaning like value. But fill in the bottom half of each ridge dark. Leave the middle a little bit lighter. And then it's going to make it feel kind of metallic. And then we're gonna move to our last part. This was a real drawing. I would have you erase the guides just so you can see the light bulb. I'm gonna keep my guides again just so you can see what we're drawing or what we use to build this thing up. So if you look really closely at the light bulb, you'll see some reflected light. So these like little white glares, and also again some darker shading on the sides. So we're gonna come in and add those areas. So there's this little white glare here. And on the sides, we're going to come in and we're going to add some marks. So when you take your pencil, what I mean by marks, you're just going to add some lines. Those lines represent the inside, like dark areas of the light bulb. We're not going to shade. Shade means that you use the side of your pencil and you add value. We're not going to do that quite yet because we're going to learn how to do that. There's some techniques we're going to use. But for now, just add some lines to show us on the inside of this light bulb that side is darker. Because again, we always work our way from the outside to the inside and big to small. So those are always the rules we'll follow when working on a drawing. It's the key to making a successful drawing. For example, some people draw a face and they'll just go straight for the eyes. Typically, you want to draw the outside shape of the head first so you know where to place the eyes. So the key is always work your way from the outside to the inside after you observe. And that's really drawing 101. So I'm going to have you guys try this on your own, and then we'll keep this thing rolling. So welcome to our Intro to Drawing unit.